Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery in our video studio today, and I'm finally able to tell you about the Spot Hogg Boonie sight. This is the latest sight from the folks at Spot Hogg, and I say finally because these things are in such high demand, they're already claimed before they come into our inventory. So this is actually the only one that we had in inventory. Everything, as soon as they come in, back orders take them right out. So I was excited to finally get my hands on one to see what all the excitement was about with the Spot Hogg Boonie. So Spot Hogg, legendary for just having sights that are like bomb-proof. These things, it's just next to impossible to do anything to get these sights out of alignment once they're in alignment. So this is the direct mount Boonie that I have right here, and it's going to weigh right about 13.5 ounces. So compared to other direct mount sights that Spot Hogg had in the past, that's definitely lighter. And by direct mount, I mean you're going to mount this right here. This is how you're going to mount it to the side of your bow, and there is nothing that's removable. A dovetail would be the other type of mount, as well as Picatinny rail. So this is what we consider the direct mount, and that you bolt it directly to the riser of the bow. So let's just run through what we have here. So you're gonna get, this is a 3-pin sight. You can see those 3 pins in there. You're gonna be able to choose between 10 thousandths, 19 thousandths, 29 thousandths, and then of course you can get custom sized pins. This one is the 19 thousandth version. That's the size of the pins. You can see all my fiber is encased in here, wrapped neatly, protected. You can see these struts going across here. That's protecting my fiber tubes inside there. It's still gathering all that light. These things are crazy bright, but you're protecting the tubing. Again, Spot Hogg, bulletproof. These things, it's just next to impossible to get them out of whack. The 3 pins inside here, so they do have Spot Hogg's unique adjustment system for adjusting the pins. So Spot Hogg does have their unique adjustment system. You're gonna see these 2 Allen screws right here, and then you're gonna see a 3rd one in the middle. There we go, get the light in there. So these 3 screws pertain to my middle pin. And I'm gonna start with this one right here. I'm gonna show you what that does. So you're gonna watch the center pin. And this is pretty cool. You're gonna watch it, it's gonna go towards the center wire and away from it as I turn it. You can see that yellow pin moving in and out. That's just by me turning the Allen key, which is pretty cool, I think. So that's how you're going to adjust the pin in and out to get it where you want. Again, that's a super unique system. Then your other 2 screws, that's going to be these 2. That's how you're going to move the pin up and down. And I'll actually move the top pin just because it'll be easier to see. But again, you turn, you loosen one side and tighten the other. And you can see that pin moves. So it's just a series of tighten one, loosen the other, and you get it to move up and down. So they are bladed pins. If you can see inside the housing there, rock solid. You are not getting those pins to move. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but with a lot of sights with the fiber, what they do is when they're bladed pins like that, they tend to run the fiber on the outside of the back side of the pins. But if you can see in here, if I can get the light to work, the fiber for these pins are actually inside the blade. Now they have cut slots in the pin to allow light to get into them, but they're completely encased is my point. That the fiber, you can't get access to the fiber, you know, with a stick or something like that to knock it off. You know, when fibers go bad, it's typically that they break. And wherever you break the fiber, then it's only gathering light from there to the end of the pin. So again, protection, that's the Spot Hogg. These things are meant to be indestructible. So it is a 3-pin sight and it is adjustable. So you have your adjustment wheel on the side here. Now, before we talk about that, there is only one sight scale indicator. So your sight scale is going to mount right here on the inside of this channel and wrap around. This purple pointer here, that's your sight scale indicator. There is only one, even though there are 3 pins. So how are you going to set that up? Well, you basically have 2 options, 2 main options, in that once you get your sight tape, you know, have your, how I would set my pins are 20, 30, 40. You can set your indicator to match your top pin, so that basically that becomes a single pin sight if you want it to be. How I'm going to use the indicator, I'm going to match it to my bottom pin. So I know that when I'm all the way up, when my sight is moved all the way up and my 20-yard pin is zeroed, 20, 30, 40, then the indicator is going to match my bottom pin. So now anytime I have to go over 40, I'm using my bottom pin, 50, 60, 70, whatever. That's how I'm going to use a single indicator on a 3-pin sight. So as you can see here, my sight indicator is mounted by a bolt inside this rail. Obviously, that allows you to move that indicator anywhere you want it, you know, so you can get it to point exactly where you want it. In other words, if I'm all the way up at my hard stop on 20 yards, now I need this to match 40, I'll have my sight tape in there. I can just slide that to wherever I need it so that it's at 40 yards when I'm in my hard stop position. But speaking of the the movable portion of the sight, this is your locking knob right here. I loosen that and then I can turn the sight up and down. Obviously, that's how you're going to move it to get to the different distances. Spot Hogg, known for these big teeth here and just a real smooth system they've got. You know, you can adjust the tension of the wheel if you feel that it's too loose. Right here, you're going to have these 2 screws. If I tighten them, I can clamp down on the wheel to make it harder to move. If I loosen it, I can make it looser. I wouldn't recommend that. You don't want it to fall down in case you forget to lock it. You can see if I push it up there, you can see if I push the sight all the way up, it's going to stay in position. However, I can move it down just by moving it with my hand. If I lock it, however, now I cannot move it. But, you know, let's say you forgot to lock it down. You don't want it to just fall before you take a shot. So I wouldn't go too crazy loosening that. Coming up here, now this big lever, this is going to be your locking knob for your windage, which this is your windage control. It is a click system. So as I'm dialing in my left and right, I am able to use clicks. They're not super precise clicks like you'll find on a target sight, but they're precise enough. You can make micro movements with your sight left and right as you do that. I prefer that to just having it free moving. At least, you know, it goes one click, it's going to stop. So it's easier to control that way. And then of course, once you get it in the position you want it, just lock it back down and then that sight is not going to move. As I mentioned, how I would use this sight is I'm going to set my pins for 20, 30, 40. So, and I want to get maximum distance out of my sight. So with the Boonie, there are many ways that you can get this sight. You can see right now it's mounted in the middle of this vertical post. So let's say I moved it all the way up. That's where I want it to be. to get maximum distance. And let's say my scope housing is still too low. Well, you've got lots of options to move your scope up. So first off, with the scope here, you can see I have 2 holes here. I can just loosen these 2, slide the scope up. That's one way I can move the scope up. I also have these holes right here. I can take off these 2 screws and I can move it up this way. So it just allows you several different ways to position the scope essentially where you need it. All of the sight tapes, I'll talk about them in a minute, do go out to 100 yards. So obviously what I would be trying to achieve is to be able to get this sight so I can get to 100 yards and have the sight clearance that I need. Incidentally, in the pack, you are going to get this device here. This is to be set up as a hard stop. So down here on the bottom, I'm going to mount this just by these 2 screws. It's going to mount anywhere in here, and that's going to be my hard stop. So for me, again, setting my pins at 20, 30, 40, I'm going to want to go all the way up to the hard stop. Once I get there, I know my top pin is at 20 yards. So you just got that, and you can position that wherever you need it so that you can get that hard stop exactly where you want it. Again, for me, I'm going to want to turn it all the way up as far as I can, have the hard stop there, so my top pin is at 20 yards. All right, now adjustments. This is a Spot Hogg, so you're going to be able to adjust this you're going to have all the axis adjustments. So right here, you're going to see this is going to be what's considered my first axis adjustment. And what that's doing is aligning the sight body, making sure that that is vertical. So this is again a push. I drive one in, I drive the other out. What that's going to do is it's going to affect the sight this way. And what I want to make sure is that I want to make sure this vertical bar is always perfectly vertical. So I'm going to start there to make sure the post is vertical. That way I know my sight is going up and down rather than going at a slant. So that's going to be my first adjustment to take care of that. Then I want to make sure that my scope is leveled. That's going to be my second axis. I want to make sure that's leveled as well. So I like this system Spot Hogg has here. It's typical, but they added a unique touch to it. So these 2 screws right here, this is going to be how, if I loosen them, I'm able to pitch the scope this way. What I'm doing is I'm twisting this vertical bar that you see right here, what the scope's mounted to. I'm twisting that left and right. Then right up here, I have a screw on this side and a screw on this side. And that's kind of like a micro adjust. So as I drive one in, let's say I drive this one in that direction, what I'm doing is I'm pitching the scope this way. If I loosen this side and drive this screw in, then I'm pitching the scope this way. So it's like a micro adjustment for your second axis. So in the pack, we already mentioned your hard stop that you can mount to put anywhere you want. Of course, you are going to get your different rings here, different size. You can see the impact there that these different rings are going to make. That's to get the sight picture the way that you want it. If you like to see more of your pins, you'd like to have a real wide open sight picture, this is going to be your option for that. These are going to shrink down your sight picture. They're going to make it smaller if that's what you prefer. And then, as we mentioned, the sight tapes. So you are going to get 40 sight tapes here. As I said, they're going to go out to 100 yards. So these are calibrated according to speed. You can see them getting smaller, so we're getting faster bow speeds. So unlike some other ones, for Spot Hogg, number 40 is going to be for your fastest bow speeds. And then you can see we're getting slower as we back up there. Again, these you're going to take and you're going to attach to the inside of your wheel here, and that's how you're going to how you make your adjustments. If that's not enough, then you're going to flip over, and right here, this performs two functions. First off, this is a quote-unquote quick disconnect. It's not actually a quick disconnect because you do have to use an Allen key to get it off. But I say quick disconnect because you can always get it back to the same place. Once I take the bolt out, then I can disconnect my scope. You know, again, that two purposes. Let's say you're traveling and you don't want your scope banging around, you know, against your backpack or in your bow case or something. You can take it apart. Now, when I go to put it back, I can just slide it back, and those two posts make sure that it goes back in the same place. But what it also does is I can flip this around. So right now, my scope is oriented this way. You can imagine if I flip this bar over, I'm going to have more right adjustment from my perspective. I'm going to have more adjustment to the right. So again, that's how Spot Hogg has been known for that, to have pieces that you can flip over to get more left-right adjustment. Flip this one over and that's what you get. All right, so that is the Spot Hogg Boonie. Great new sight this year from the folks at Spot Hogg. It's going to be a little bit lighter, but still have that bulletproof construction that we have come to love about Spot Hogg sights. If you want to see this version of the Boonie on our website, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.